Welcome back, guys. Jay here. So exciting lesson, this one, because we're setting up the shooting mechanic of the enemy. So we're going to get shot at and it's going to be suddenly super hard to play this game, right? Finally, our first challenge will be set up in this. So quick assumption, guys. I'm assuming that you guys can also set up a gun to the enemy. So far we didn't have a gun. So I went ahead and added a pistol to his hand, just like how we did it with the player. So basically, all I did, a quick summary here. I found his hand in his skeleton, root, hips, and just keep going until you find the hand. And you basically use that as a parent for a gun. You just put a gun in there and then rotate it so that it's pointing forward. The other thing that I did here, guys, and I want you guys to pause the video and do this as well. You guys should set up a shooting point, very similar to the player. The reason I'm not going to do that on the video is because we've already done that for the player. I'm assuming you guys can do it on your own, right? Just to save you a lot of video watching time here. I want you guys to take action more than watching this video. So basically learn from it and then apply, right? So what I did was I added an empty game object here, just to zoom in to the sort of the barrel of the gun, right? Just the tip of it, just the front of it. It doesn't really matter where you put it as long as it's at the barrel area. So all you have to do is right click, create empty, and then call it shooting point, and then put it at the tip of that gun there, somewhere around that. So that basically when it goes into a shooting mode, it's pointing straight at the player or forward, right? So that's all I did there. And then pretty much beyond that, let's go to Animator and set up the animation of shooting. And then let's go to the script and apply the new changes, right? Let's go to Animator first. So this is what we should have by now. What we're going to do is we're going to bring in our shooting animation, which is over here, running, shooting. Bring that in. And then I'm going to create a transition from running. So there can never be a transition from idle, walking to shooting, because obviously it always goes to running first when it detects the player. So we are only going to have one transition from running to shooting and then shooting to running, so that if the player runs away, he'll stop shooting and then start chasing again, right? And then when he closes the gap and gets in the attack range again, start shooting again. So that's why we have a transition there. So we need a new parameter for this. So in your head, just ask this question: do you think it's Boolean or trigger for shooting? It's trigger, simply because it's a one-off thing, right? You shoot and then you should head back to whatever animation that you were in, right? Boolean would be like continuous shooting. So if you're doing, for example, a machine gun, I would say that it's Boolean, simply because you're gonna stay in that state nonstop without stopping, right? Then you would transition onto like reload or something like that. But since we're dealing with pistols here, it's like a one-off thing, guys. And then you're gonna head back to running if you're not gonna shoot, right? So you can do Boolean. I'm not gonna say you can't. I'm just gonna do triggers for this one. So just gonna say shoot for this, and then the transition from running to shooting would be shoot, and then has exit time is turned off, and then going back would have an exit time as well, because after shooting you should head back to running state as well. Now the thing is, when you're actually in the attack state, the player is going to continuously, the NPC is going to continuously shoot us. So I don't think you'll even notice the running state when you're in this. Ideally though, and feel free to do this, you can have a shooting idle state. So instead of just having running here and then going into shooting, you can have another state here called shooting idle, which gets called when you're in the attack state. And then from that, you can point to shooting and then back and forward. So it's exactly what we did with the player, I believe. We were having a aim idle state and then shooting, right? So you can apply the same thing. Feel free to do that. But I'm going to go with this one for this lesson, but you can experiment as well. Awesome, guys. That being said, now we need to go to the script, and I'm going to show you a couple of changes that I did to save us time. But the new script is down below. Feel free to download it and apply the changes. But I'm going to show you the new changes so you guys don't feel confused about the new changes, right? All I did here, guys, was one extra change here. I added a new game object for a shooting point. Remember the shooting point that we added here at the tip of the gun? That's basically the shooting point, right? So what I did was, sorry about that. Let's go back here. What I did here was I added a shooting point so that we know where to spawn the bullets from. Okay, now scrolling down, let's go over to update. New change here as well, guys. Similar to the earlier videos, we're going to add a new if condition here for a new state, which is the attack state. Now, let's look at the conditions for this. We have player in attack range, true, right? So if player is in attack range, it's close enough to attack, and player is in sight, meaning the player can be seen, we go into attack state, right? If not, it goes to chase state if it's far away, right? So attack state, let's have a look at that method. That's a new one as well. So in this attack state, guys, all we are doing basically is we're setting the destination for itself. Reason is, in the attack state, we don't chase, we stand the ground, we stay in one place. So we're saying, don't go anywhere, make sure the enemy doesn't move, just stay where you are, and where you are basically translate to C# code, transform.position. That's where you are. So simply saying destination is where you are, which means it's not going to move, stay in one place. And we're going to say transform.lookAt player. So it's going to always turn to wherever the player is. Now, what is transform.lookAt? It's an awesome function provided by Unity again to rotate whatever game object that is referred to as transform to look at the game objects applied in the parameters within those brackets, right? So basically in this case, transform refers to the enemy. To look at what? Player, right? So it's always going to turn to wherever the player is, which is basically us, right? So if we run around the place, NPC is going to continue to rotate like this, right? Which is an awesome thing because we don't have to do it ourselves. We're reusing Unity's awesome third-party functions here just to save time. And then we're basically checking if we have already attacked. If not, if we haven't attacked here, basically what we're going to do is we're going to turn to the direction forward, which is the enemy's forward, obviously. And then we have a draw array. If you're familiar, draw arrays just simply allows us to visualize where it's looking. Now, you don't need this, by the way. You can delete it. It's simply for development purposes. So you kind of can draw a line and see if the raycast is actually going forward. I'm going to get rid of it. It's just simply for development purposes. Feel free to have it if you guys want. All right. And then animator.setTrigger shoot, which is exactly what we just set up in the animator. It goes into a shooting animation. Now, raycast code is pretty much the same thing as the ground check that we did in play, if you guys remember. Simply, you have a point that it shoots out an invisible ray from, which is in this case shooting point, the gun's barrel, and then it goes forward in a direction of forward, which is the direction, and then ray hit is basically storing whatever that it hit, right? Whatever that this line collides with, the ray hit variable will store that detail so that we can check if it's the player that it hit. If it's the player that it hit, we can deal some damage to the player. 1,000 is how far ahead it's going to go, the distance. Just put 1,000 because it's quite long. It's big distance because we want these bullets to travel far. If it sees the player and it shoots, we want it to hit the player, right? If the player is obviously moving a lot, obviously then it's kind of hard to hit the player. That's the point, right? So 1,000 is a good amount to shoot out this bullet. And the layer is what is player, which is basically what we set up there as the player's layer, right? Debug log, we're just printing out what the collider's name is. So whatever that it hit, whatever surface or collider that the bullet hits, we're going to print it out just for debugging purposes. You don't need it. It's not a functional thing that affects the game. It's for you to figure out what it's actually hitting, right? It just prints out the name. And then the condition is, if what it hit has a tag called player, we compare the tag. If it hits the player, we're going to deal some damage, right? So we're going to make some changes there as well. We're simply saying whatever that it hit and its collider, we get the component player health. Now, remember how we set up player health earlier? So we're referring to that script, right? If you hit the player, we access that script inside of the player, and we're saying take some damage, right? And then we're going to basically instantiate, you guys already know how to spawn stuff, instantiate. We are going to instantiate a bullet flesh graphic. Now, this is new. We want to make sure that we communicate to the player that you just got hit, man. You just got hit. You just got some damage. So how are we going to do that? We're going to show some flesh coming out of the player. Not flesh, blood. All right. So if you guys don't want gore in your game, skip this step, delete it. Instead, just show your health going down. But if you like some gore in your game, you can keep this line. I'm just showing you how to do that. That's completely up to you according to your game's PG rating. Feel free to remove that or keep that. I'm just going to keep it just for demonstration purposes, right? So if you're a kid watching this, hey, delete it. All right? just so the parents don't get mad at me. So blood gets shut out from you. So that's just a way of showing feedback, guys. This is only for education purposes, just to re-emphasize. Other than that, we basically spawn that hit graphic from wherever that it hit, which basically is rayhit.point. Quaternion.Euler 0180 is basically a rotation for it. You can change this, make it 90 degrees. Basically, it just defines where this graphic is going to spawn from, right? Just put 180 there. Feel free to experiment. Else, we're going to spawn a bullet hole graphic. Now, say the bullet got missed and it hit a wall or something. We're going to spawn a bullet hole on the wall. Now, that's a really important thing also, because obviously you want to see these hits around the environment that you're in, right? So if they miss a bullet, right, if they miss a shot, we kind of want to see that on the wall. That adds to the realism. So we're going to spawn a bullet hole, same stuff over here. And then we're going to say already attacked. And then we're going to have a invoke, which basically, if you guys already know, we've done this before. We're going to add a delay between the next attack. So we're going to say time between attacks. We've already declared that up there. I believe that's like 1 second or something. After 1 second, it goes for another attack, right? That's what we're doing. We're resetting that attack so it attacks again. That should be pretty straightforward for you guys. Other than that, what we're going to do is in the next video, we can do the take damage and stuff, but I've included that in this script as well. So I was going to cover that in the same video, but I see that the video is over 10 minutes at this point, so I want to keep it short. But I'm going to include that 2 methods here as well in this script for you guys to download. But don't worry, we're going to cover the take damage, destroy enemy in the next video, but let's just do the attack stuff for now in this video, all right? One more thing I want to show you guys is this part. So when you deal damage to the player, we're going to access the player health script that we have already set up, right? So if you open that up, you should have this already, okay? We did it before in our player health video, so please feel free to go back to it and then revisit it if you haven't done it. Basically what we have in there is a health float value, which basically has 100, and we're going to reduce that or increment that if you're picking up health packs. So I'm assuming at this point you have some health packs lying around as well, because that was part of the homework in that video. And then you also have a health text here. I'm assuming you have set that up as well. That was homework. We did that for the ammo text, the ammo in the ammo lesson, the pickup lesson. So feel free to go back to that as well. And then in here, we have a new function called take damage. We should have that as well if you have followed the lesson. What we've done here is basically, guys, we're going to deal that damage. We're going to reduce the health based on the amount that you pass in, which in this case is 10. We're going to deal 10 damage. And then basically at the end, we're going to update the health text to show the current health, right? And if you're walking into a health pack, we're going to add 20 to the player's health. You should have this already, guys, if you did the homework. If not, I'm not judging, but you can get the script from down below. Everything's included below this video. That being said, guys, that's about it. Let's test this out. Let's go to Unity. We just got to do one more thing, which is to basically set up the shooting point and things like that. So if you go to enemy, I've already done that, guys. Feel free to follow along now. What I've done is time between attack should be 1. Shooting point should be the tip of the gun. I've already done that. And then 3 new things here, which you guys don't have, right? Muzzle flash, I think you already have that one. Muzzle flash is already there. So if you go here, you should have a muzzle flash effect, which was part of the gun that we downloaded. But these 2 you don't have: the bullet impact, the blood effect, and the stone mist hole in the wall kind of effect. So to get that, guys, you got to get this asset pack called Legacy Particle Pack in Unity Asset Store. I've included the link below, and you can directly download it as well. So the particle pack has a bunch of particle effects that you can use in your games, like hits and blood effects and wall hits and fire and flame and stuff like that, right? So what I've done here is basically added these 2. So for the bullet hole graphic, I've used bullet impact stone effect. If you search this name after downloading that pack, you should get that. For the flesh graphic, I've used bullet impact flesh small effect. There's a large blood effect too. If you want go for that, or else just use this one. All right, that's it, guys. That being said, you should be able to now play this game, and it should come to life. So let's test it out. Hopefully it'll start shooting me. I should get damage in me. All right. Oh, there you go. I'm getting shot. As you can see on the bottom left, guys, the health is also going down. And if I run around, it's going to try and shoot me as well, but I'm going to miss some shots because I'm going to just move. But obviously, right now, it's quite difficult. As you can see, like he shoots really accurately. So one thing you can do is add a lot of cover here so you can sort of hide from the enemy attacks. And it doesn't go beyond 10 right now, so I'm going to look into that code as well. I might update it. It might be a bug. Ran into a bug there with the collider. But yeah, feel free to update it as you wish. But right now, it's very accurate. And the way that you can reduce the accuracy is simply reducing. Let me show you that right now. Simply by reducing this 1000 to maybe 500 or 250 or something like that. That's how far this bullet is going to travel, which allows the player to sort of dodge bullets a little bit more. And also feel free to add a lot of covers, like with a lot of colliders, cubes and all, so you can hide behind them. So it basically misses the shot. That's the whole point of having this here, the compare tag. But that's basically it. And then, yeah, feel free to download the scripts down below, and we're done with the shooting lesson. And then what we're going to do next is we're going to deal some damage back to the enemy, and we're going to have an enemy death state. And then, yeah, that's about it. That'll be the enemy lesson altogether. I'll see you guys in the next one.